to record, sorry, I just wanted you to know.
And this portion of the meeting on April 26th is public hearing, and Mr. Steve Nelson is here via phone conference call. So I'm calling this meeting to order so that we can do a flag salute or pledge of allegiance, sorry, and then the public hearing information. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Someone else sign in? Okay, thank you. Okay, council, you have what I'm gonna read. This has been published in the Ritzville Journal on April 6th as well as the 13th. The purpose of the public hearing is to review community development and housing needs, inform citizens of the availability of funds and eligible uses of the state community development block grant, which is CDBG, and receive comments on proposed activities, particularly from lower income persons residing in the town of Land. Up to $30,000 may be available for planning and up to $900,000 for construction to the town of Land on a statewide competitive basis to fund public facility, community facility, economic development, planning and affordable housing projects that principally benefit low and moderate income persons. So, Mr. Nelson, you have the floor.
Yeah, so this hearing is a part of the process for an application to have a project that can go hand in glove with the project that's already been funded by the Public Works Board, and that is the paving of that Quail Loop area around Clarence, Iowa, and Logan, as well as up on 8th Street, where you currently have gravel streets, that Adams County has looked at and has agreed to help us put down what's called a BST, or bituminous surface treatment. Basically ends up being a chip seal, but it will convert your gravel to pavement, which would be really nice for the homeowners there, and then would also make those streets eligible for future DIE funding, since they're not eligible as gravel streets. While we're looking at doing the roadway work, it would make a lot of sense for us to replace some of those water mains, particularly the ones on Quail, where we know that we've got dead ends and we've got water mains that are 4 inches and smaller, which, especially in that area, kind of out on its own, would be pretty vulnerable. We had a fire in the area, so this would replace those 8-inch mains and would allow them to be looped so that you could have better fire flow and better circulation. And that is project scope. Are there any questions?
Have you got that turned up as loud as you can, Paula?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, because it's pretty muffled.
So they're gonna replace the water lines up at Quail Loop before they do the chip seal? Is it chip seal?
BST, yeah. Mr. Nelson, did you hear that?
That's correct.
Yes.
I did, yeah. We definitely want to do the water mains before we pave the road. Good question.
That's the desire, is to do the water main lines before we do the chip
Okay.
sealing.
And what did he say about it would allow us to apply for TIB funding later? What did he say about that?
Did you hear that?
Yeah, great. Yes, also a great question. So currently, TID will not pave gravel streets. They will maintain your streets that they're already paved.
Oh,
So by taking this Public Works Board loan funding, the town can pave these streets, and then they can be eligible for future grant
those lines or different lines?
Yeah, I have a question. So we can, so if we wanna, we can put in for as much grant money, well, I guess, so if we wanna put in for as much grant money as we can get, possibly, but we can do it for other projects too, or do we have to have those projects broken down to like particular ones? Cause apparently this town's falling apart here recently, and we have a lot of things that we could, use grant money for, so how do we go about, do we just put in an amount that we'd like to get, or I'm not fully aware of understanding of how it exactly works, I guess.
So tell him that you're talking about sewer lines, I
I'm
think.
talking about water lines, sewer lines, I mean, every day it seems like there's something new going on here in this town, unfortunately, and, we're gonna need as much money as we can get, I just don't know how to professionally say that, I guess, or put it out there.
No, great. Well, go ahead, sorry, please continue.
Oh, I'm done babbling now, I just, I'm trying to figure out how we go about as a council to push forward to try and get as much of this grant money. I know it's not guaranteed, but at least try on our end to do the application process and try to get as much as we can to help the town out.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG program, is limited to $1 million per project, and it's 100% grant. So it's really the only 100% grant program that there is out there at the moment. So CDBG can fund water, it can fund sewer, it can fund some roadway work, it can fund community centers and fire stations. Those are kind of the big things that it does fund. For water system projects, and I don't know how detailed you want to get, but water systems, CDBG is a great program for water because your only other real option for water system projects is public health. And that is typically all loan, which means that you would probably have to raise your rates to the individuals that are, to your ratepayers, which is pretty tough to do when you have a lot of folks on fixed income. So using a CDBG grant for water system projects really helps you keep your rate increases to a minimum. If you're talking about sewer system projects, Department of Ecology is your other big funding source outside of CDBG. And the way that I've seen it work really well, we've done it in Odessa, in Garfield, in Pico, in Endicott, and a number of others, is you put into Department of Ecology money in the fall, and they will usually give you a loan grant combination. And then you can use CDBG money the next year, the next funding cycle, to knock off some of that loan portion. So you can end up, again, doing as much grant as you possibly can. Because ecology lets you spend their grant money first. Now, there are some other programs, USDA, Public Works Trust Fund, RCAC, sometimes FEMA, we've done some FEMA work there. We started with some other folks there and then kind of finished it off. So that's kind of the big picture of water and sewer. You're absolutely right. You want to get as much as you can. CDBG is limited to $1 million. Department of Ecology has a higher ceiling. In fact, I've seen projects of 5 to 10 million. But when you get up that high, you're definitely going to be taking on some loan funds. And the other thing is they want to see completed planning documents. So we talked about the Smaller System Management Program, and I think we talked a little bit about some general sewer programs. So if there are other specific projects, or if there is another project that's a priority, we can certainly take a look at those. But that's a long answer to your question. But
Right, and so if we apply for, obviously, we're gonna apply for as much as we can get, how long till we find out? What's the time frame on that? As far as, if we qualify or whatever?
great question. Yeah. So Community Development Block Grants, they tell you in September whether or not you've been selected.
Okay, September.
So So then the project would be next year, I assume.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, asking.
Well, at least, I mean, anything would be
Yeah,
better than anything, or
Isn't
not.
there some actual people who do grant writing though, and are, they actually kind of like get them to do that for you, and you reach out and they apply for all different kinds of grants? Because I actually knew a gal, that's how she made her living, was doing the grant writing.
Oh,
So, I mean, in this situation, I think that what was being referred to is we have some residents here who cannot wait till September. So is there something here that we could be doing something faster to help these people? Because obviously, we're talking about thousands and thousands of dollars.
Just so that everyone knows that all along, in all of our disasters, Mr. Nelson has been in contact, I have been in contact with Mr. Nelson all along. He is our go-to grant researcher. He's constantly helping us with, or asking for ideas. So there, anytime you think of something, drop it off at the office and I pass it on to Mr. Nelson.
So can we basically prioritize the sewer as what this grant could be put towards? In a nutshell? I mean, is that basically where we're at? Can we do that?
Is there any, Mr. Nelson, is there any priority listing, like right now sewer?
On the sewer side of things, I know you and I have talked about sewer private service issues on six, and I think, with the sewer issues on the services, there are some programs through USDA, because the part for that private services, if that's the discussion, is that what we're talking about, or are there other projects?
Well, immediate is the 6th Street individual private lines, yes.
Who knows what street's coming
But
next?
what, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, continue, I'm sorry.
Well, and in the future, with the crystal ball, would be a sewer project that would maybe research out our underground and fix, prevent with our sewer lines.
Yeah, and I've talked to Joe, I believe there was some work done, 10 or 12 years ago, if I recall correctly, that looked at some videotaping, something that they call CCTV, or closed circuit television camera work in some of those lines, to investigate infiltration and inflow, which is when you have peaks of flow in the spring with the snow melt and stuff. But if there is a concern about the sewer system as a whole, I haven't heard about big concerns from Joe or yourself or Stephen or folks on the public side of things. But if there is a concern with the sewer lines, the first thing I would suggest is getting in touch with Evergreen Water. And I think there I sent you some info or contact. I can call Chad Short. They have a camera, they can do smoke testing, and they can do all of that for free. That doesn't cost you anything. So there are some things we can do on the public side of things if there's a concern with the sewer mains, public side of the sewer system.
Okay, Evergreen would do just the scoping, but that is for the town's sewer lines, correct? Or did I hear you wrong?
That'd be
Yeah.
the mains.
So it's the main lines,
It'd be for the public, yeah.
okay. Okay. Kim, did you have a question that someone interrupted you with?
No.
Okay, I thought I heard your voice, so I'm sorry. Okay, Mike, anything else?
I think I covered mine in a nutshell. I
Okay,
just didn't break it down individually.
okay. Robert? Myra? Okay, Laura? Jim?
I don't have anything. I did want to mention, I was under the impression from what Mr. Nelson said, that the sewer projects come under the Department of Ecology? Or am I in error?
hear that, Mr. Nelson? There was a question.
Okay, so in other words, as far as, applying for anything, it would have to go through the Department of Ecology or sewer, rather than the, CDBG grant.
Or both.
Okay, thank you.
So, should we clarify that the public hearing is actually for approval of the CDBG project up there and really has nothing to do with sewer, right? Did you clarify that already?
Yeah,
So,
it's just questions here.
if anybody doesn't like the spending the money on that,
Mr. Nelson? What's the next steps with the, public hearing? Do we, have another public hearing after this for continuation of comments, questions?
For this grant application, this would be it. If there's no more comments or questions on this particular project, then you would just gather the hearing closed and you'll apply, the application be completed and submitted, by June 1st.
and the application's for the design process, right?
The question was for, this is for the design portion.
No, this would be for design and construction. So design would,
So this is for whatever we wanna get a grant for, or whatever.
and
The tractor.
we'd be able to put that and construct it in 2023.
Well, he said it was for a couple water mains and this, that, and the other thing. I guess that's probably the question that, at least for me, I wanna know, like, who decides what the priority is in getting this grant? We apply for the grant, but what all can we actually use this for? Because I think there's probably people who are feeling like there's precedent with some things, and other people feel like there's other, how do we decide what this grant is used for? Is that something you guys decide? Is that something he decides? Who gets to decide that?
Did you hear that question?
That's, a great question. As far as the priorities for the project, that's exactly the purpose of the hearing. And the direction, so I am the town plans consultant, so I would apply for, or not apply for, whatever funding packages the council direct me to pursue. So if you had during this hearing, say, you know that, we don't want to do this water main, and we're motion
So, the water mains up in the loop area, aren't they from the 30s and 40s of the 1930s and 40s? That are still laying up there, and aren't the isn't there a lot of crud going through that water?
Sorry,
See?
so it was, did you have a question with that, question about the water quality?
Yeah, the water lines up there on the loop, they're like from the 1930s and 40s, right?
Up around, Quail Loop.
No, Quail Loop,
Quail Loop.
yes.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know the exact age of those lines.
And they
I
had,
suspect that's probably somewhere in the neighborhood, but I believe, based on the information I have from the maps that I've got, is that the size of them is, 4 inches down. And also, if folks recall, we had a health and safety kind of emergency project on Logan, because the one main that was running across Logan, had failed and was basically a living disaster. So the water mains up in that area are a pretty serious concern.
and there's a lot of, gunk, you might say, that's being put into the drinking water because of those?
I guess that those folks, think that those folks going into the water, I think it's important for everybody to understand that as long as your system maintains pressure, which it has, you're not going to be getting into the system. But the pipes up there are certainly better. There's no concerns that I'm aware of with head or stuffing the water at all. It's just that your supply is not very good. And again, having the bridge at a fire, and I think folks recall that happened with Malden and Pine City, you don't have adequate fire suppression, that would be a real serious issue.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So I think I'm hearing that there's two major problems. One is the water that you apply this grant money to right away, but there's a more of an emergency need for some of the town people for sewers. And so I think the town people are wanting to hear, what's gonna happen for them in their emergency need with the sewer problems that they're having? And I don't think that he's the one that can answer that. I think that's you, Mayor, and the city council that has to come up with a different way for a more of emergency to address those problems for these people.
Okay, the sewer problems are with the private lines, okay? They are not the cities, they are the individual residents, and they're the private lines that the sewers are in.
I think that's to be decided. I don't know that that's set in stone. I think that, yeah, that's something we need to discuss, but we'll do that at the appropriate time, which is not right now.
Okay, back to, the hearing part of this CDBG, that's before us. Do you have any other questions or?
I guess my thing is, like I said, so we'll just try to get, cause the loop and that shit's already, is already, on the table. This is for extra grant money for other projects. So I think we should just try to get as much as we can get, and if we get any, then we break it down and we would be able to more prioritize where that money's gonna go, if we even get any of it. Correct?
No. If you apply for a grant, you have to have a specific project in mind, and that money can only be used.
Okay,
just
that's
a
what I
minute.
was
We
trying to
have
ask
Mr.
earlier, but I
Nelson.
guess I didn't.
Just a second, we've got people speaking. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Nelson.
I was just gonna say, so this grant, and any grant that you put in for,
other clarifications, questions? Okay, so, Mr. Nelson, at this time, do we, let you go ahead with a vote? Do we let you go ahead with a no vote? What?
Well, at this point, you would gather the hearing notes, and with folks, you don't have to take a vote on anything, but the public, and I believe this is in the public notice too, the public does have the ability and should provide comments, until May, there's a date in there, May, until that time, at which point, the 27th, I think it is,
Yeah.
May is
You are correct. Friday, May 6th.
comments, but
You are correct.
I
It's
don't think there's,
27th.
I don't think there's any, vote that needs to be taken. So if we get to the 27th and, the council or yourself decide, that project one goes for, that's what we'll put the application in for. But if there is further comment and there's consensus that we have another very specific project that takes precedent, I think we have the ability to change the application. But once we do submit that application to first, that's the scope we're gonna need to stick with, only for that application.
So narrowing it down, May 27th, that's the deadline. Narrowing it down for the application in June 1st.
And June 1st is the submittal date. So, and then there are other projects, say for instance on the sewer side of things, or if there are other projects, water or even parks for that matter, like you said there, if folks have comments or suggestions, by all means, get those to you, talk to me. I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person tonight, but I'm glad we come down for a day and we can sit down and talk with the different funding programs. And there's information out there, you don't have to take my word for it. The Infrastructure Systems Coalition Council, or IACC, puts out a list of funding programs each and every year, and we can go through that to help us understand what's out there.
When would be a date he could come down and help us on, well, we understand that everything more and the possibilities that are out there, like, how soon could he come down and do that for the town? And whoever has questions.
Did you hear that request of your presence in town?
I did, yeah, I'm free Thursday until about 3 in the afternoon. I'm free Friday till, Thursday till probably about 2, and Friday about the same time, and next week, let's see, usually Thursdays and Fridays are nice and clear for me, so if that works for folks, Mayor, if you want me to do that, you just give me the word and, I'll make it happen.
I guess we could.
It would be nice to have a community meeting where everybody could attend.
Yeah,
and
that's what I'm thinking, we just kinda
That's a good
get
idea.
opinions or whatever, what dates would, apparently Fridays. I don't know if that works better for everybody in here or most people, I mean, kinda get a feel of what would work better for everybody that's got questions on any of this.
After 5 would probably be best for most of
And
the
then we
town.
can get
You
with
just said
him and
before
set a
2.
date.
He just said what?
Before 2.
Does he have an after 5? Evening would be better for the rest of the town, I'm sure, because a lot of people work.
Yeah, resident vacation.
Yeah, and even if it's not necessarily Friday, Steve, if you could do an evening meeting someday, at all possible? So I know most people here
Yeah, I
work.
think so, it probably would work this week, but maybe, let's see.
Yeah, possibly next week or so.
And let me, I tell you that if you guys can work on a consensus for what would work best for folks,
Okay.
evenings, Mondays are generally pretty bad for me in the evenings and Thursdays, but Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday evenings,
Tuesday, yes.
really will work for me, so if you have to come up with some,
Yeah, we'll kinda get a consensus or whatever tonight, and then we can have Paula get a hold of you or whatever, if that will work for you, and then kinda go from there on setting a date, and then we can let everybody know.
Sure. You bet, you bet.
Okay. Workable? Okay,
Works for me.
all right. Okay, so thank you, Mr. Nelson. Is there anything else that we need to cover before we adjourn out of this public hearing?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. So, no other comments thrown out here? Okay.
Sounds to me like you're in a need to get that meeting with him set for either Thursday or Friday, whatever you're gonna do, and do it right away, because you said there's a date in there that was the 27th, it's coming up pretty damn quick.
And
And
May,
so,
of May.
okay, so it's a little lot further, okay.
Yeah,
Because I didn't want, I was wanting to make sure you guys weren't gonna miss that.
No.
no, we'll get a consensus tonight, and then we'll set it up as soon as possible.
Okay. So the public hearing is now adjourned at whatever time. Okay. All right, with that, will you be staying with us, Mr. Nelson? To talk about,
I can, I think I see something, would you like some information on the Split Street Rehab project under new business?
yeah, that would be nice.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so regular council meeting is now called to order. Council, you have the April 12th, 2022 regular meeting minutes to approve. You had a chance to read them.
I make a motion that we accept the April 12th meeting minutes.
I second that motion.
Okay, it's moved and seconded to approve the April 12th, 2022 regular meeting minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Motion carries. All right, so council, there were two things that came about after the agenda was typed and put out. So if there's no objections, I would like to add under unfinished business, well 9, motor, pump, repair, replacement information. So that's well 9. And then under new business, add TIB 5th Street Rehabilitation Bid Authorization Form. So if there's no objections, we'll add those to the agenda, please. No objections?
Nope.
Okay. Under the unfinished A, Armada, credit card use, council, wants you to know that, the presentation was, very nice with, the gentleman that, came to, our meeting. And the Columbia Bank ladies that, listened to the presentation also, came back to me and said that they could not meet that deal. So if the council wants to go ahead and approve the Armada credit card use, we'll get some of that information back to us. But remember, he asked me to fill out the application information, so that's what I'm asking approval of or not, whichever way you want to go. The Visa and MasterCard companies, I got some literature information back that says that if it's a debit card, that we accept debit cards, then there's no surcharge to be added to that usage. The credit cards, that's where that percentage would be added. So I've got to clarify with that, because in his presentation, he said said that both debit and credit would be charged the extra fee. So if, that's the only iffy part.
Oh, I thought he said it was just the credit side of it, or maybe I misunderstood it.
Well, see, I,
Because normally they don't charge that with debit.
for debit cards, so. But there's also, no contract, we're not set into a certain timeline with this company. So it could be a trial and error timeline if you wanted to say 6 months, say a year, whatever for your customers. So just have to get back with him. But anyway, approval, I'm seeking approval to put into that application information.
I make a motion that you put the application in.
I second it.
Okay, moved and seconded, third, to do the Armada credit card application. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, the added information on well 9, motor pump repair replacement. Council, that is the half sheet that was in your packet.
Would you please clarify where well 9 is located?
Well 9 is at the west end of the wastewater treatment plant field.
Oh, where the pump got stolen.
Where there is no more pump.
And
There is no more motor. There is no more building. But anyway,
and we only use that for selling water to other projects, right?
that is a well that is needed to be used periodically, yes. That is a tank fill water.
We have both well 6 and well 9 to do that with, right?
Pardon me?
We use both well 6 and well 9 to fill tanks with, so if we lost one of them, it's not imperative.
Yeah. So, council, the information is on the inside of your half sheet. That is from the Reiner Pump Systems, and it's for the upgrade proposal of goods and services to Town of Lynn, 15 horsepower pump removal and replacement, electrical service and control. And the important part down is on the bottom part. Your proposed cost will be $24,893.10 US dollars. All work to be performed in a timely and workmanlike manner. All goods and services warranted free from defects for a period of 1 year. Not responsible for delays beyond our control. No other goods or services are included. Other goods or services will be provided only by written change order on a time and material basis. And the only reason I'm reading that is because it was in bold print. Now, sideline, the insurance, the message on the outside of that half sheet says that came through an email, and that is the insurance adjuster has reviewed our well 9 replacement estimate and said to continue with the repairs. Okay? I want to make sure that it is okay with the town to continue. So then see the attached preliminary estimate that's on that side. And of course, there will be additional costs after the shaft and pump are pulled and inspected, because when the motor was removed, the shaft fell down inside the well. We don't know what the shaft looks like at this moment, but this email is from Joe Pasuti asking for, do you want to go forth?
I guess my question is this the only outfit that we've had a bid from, or, you know, that we've checked with as far as doing this project?
Right now, they are the ones that came to our rescue, yes. And I do not know, I remember Joe saying that there was someone else that had shown interest, but nothing that came through on.
Yeah, I'm just, cause I would think we'd wanna, I know it needs to get done, but I would think we'd wanna get a bid from at least another outfit myself anyway, besides just going with the first.
I have a question.
I have a question.
Person.
Okay,
I just wondered if we find other things wrong, like if the shaft is broken or damaged and we have to replace that, will the insurance company cover that cost because it was part that was connected to something that was stolen?
right, that wasn't ever committed from them. I think they're on the cautious side of, you know, here's a blank check. Let's make sure that things are damaged and we're not gonna commit, but that's,
Is there a
that's what.
deductible?
That has, I'm sure there is, but that hasn't been said. So, the insurance adjuster just said, Joe met with them Thursday of last week, I think, and he didn't say anything about any deductible, but I know for a fact that there's gotta be a deductible. But, right now, they are get it going process. So, yes,
What precautions are gonna be put in place? Let's say you spend the 24,000 to put it all back in there, how are you gonna guarantee that it's just not gonna get stolen again?
there is, as you know, there's no guarantee for that, and,
And it's out there a long ways, and there's obviously no, way to view any of that, that's just like dangling the carrot.
true. The, fence, there's gonna be it's not designed anything yet, but the desires is to do a better building, a better fencing around it, and then there is a power pole right there.
So we could
that we
possibly
could-
put cameras and stuff out there, or at
Exactly.
least do as much as
Again,
we can.
yeah. But, yeah, so that's the information that, I'm giving you.
Okay.
So anything that you wanna give back so that I can present to, the insurance company and or Joe?
I just, in my opinion, I think we need to get another bid on this from a different
I
company.
would like on that list, at least 2 or 3 bids.
Okay,
And you said
Who
there was
were we
somebody else,
going
but
to-
I have no idea who they were.
I would think that we would need to, if we're going that way, I would think that we need to find some people that are going to do this, other than this one company, and see what they come in with. In the
Right.
meantime, we need to keep in mind, well, mine is not operating. And it won't be operating. How long it takes to get these other bids in. This is dated April 19th.
Right.
We're now at the 26th?
Is it currently being used?
That's
Or
what I-
before it was stolen? Was it being used regularly?
That's, I guess, what's gonna be a question of mine too, is how often are we using that? It's not like it's our main well, correct? I mean,
That's hardly ever used.
how often are we actually using that well, as far as do we have time to get other bids for this project per se?
The last time
You know what I mean?
the last time that it was used was for the county project for the Linhattan, road, whatever that was.
Oh, okay, so it's not like, holy shit, the town's shutting down well.
No, it's like a spare, if you wanna say that, but it is a well that
Right,
has to be used.
Yeah, no, I totally understand that, I'm just, guess what I'm driving at is, so we do have a little time to get more bids than just jump on the first one that is there, correct?
Yes, yeah, that's my train of
I'd
thought.
say that bids are a good idea, but if the insurance is on the hook for it, then the
Yeah.
need isn't as important. And so I think that you need to get it clarified if the insurance is gonna foot the bill, because if you do, then you don't need bids. Just get somebody to get it done and get it done as quick as you can, so if an emergency does arise, you do have the
We
spare.
have it. Yes. Denise, yeah.
So the insurance is covering the pump and the casings, is it covering the building as well? The replacement of the building and the cameras and all the things we wanna do?
That right now is extra. That right now is being negotiated. That right there is probably out of our pocket, yes.
And I have no idea what a building would cost.
I don't either.
Does
Did they
anybody?
actually steal the building,
The
or just
buil-
destroy it?
They destroyed it,
Okay.
but it's,
What was it, just corrugated metal? I don't even know what it was out
no,
there.
it was plywood, wood, 2x4s.
Oh,
They did a wonderful job on it. Okay, so that information, I will relay that to Mr. Joe. Okay, so that right there was for your information there. So that approval is pending, or you want to go with that, with more information?
More information, I think.
Okay,
Yeah, so it was pending.
okay.
kinda need a bid on the building and stuff too, cause you can't put the pump in if you can't put a building up. I mean, it would be kinda dumb.
All right, we have new business. TIB, that's the added, Fifth Street rehabilitation bid authorization form. Council, you have,
Shit on there.
Mr. Nelson, I gave them a copy of the, are you still with her?
I am.
Oh, okay. I gave them a copy of the bid authorization form, all pages, so that you know. And I believe I gave them the, I don't know, what's the called? It's all the little pages of the actual project. Okay, plan sheets, yes. So they have that. But I do not know if they have, had time to, look at all the pages, but what we're interested in is the, bid authorization form, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct. Just need to make sure council's okay with, proceeding to advertise this project to bid. It's already been funded at 100% grant, and the scope is, and my apologies for those of you trying to read engineering plans. I know that can be painful, but, the simplest way to describe it is on Fifth Street,
everything underneath where they're gonna be paving, been fixed? Or is this something we're gonna pave over the top and then discover that we need to fix everything?
Did you hear that, Mr. Nelson? Nothing
I'm not
underneath,
answering that question.
Not very clear, sir.
okay, nothing underneath,
Yeah, so we'll be taking up the old pavement and going down about 8 inches. And then we'll rebuild that base so that the roadway won't fail later.
I guess
So it'll take up a little bit, but it's not gonna go down very far.
No,
her
that's-
question
that's
is,
not what
she's
I'm asking.
referring to like sewer lines and
Water
water
lines.
lines and stuff like that.
Roofing a house.
If we
before you
have
put the
any
foundation
information
on.
on when the last time any of that's been,
Not gonna be messing with, not messing with any of the sewer water lines.
so I guess, should we, is there, I guess, how do we go about getting those tested or a camera ran through them or something before this project takes place?
I'm not digging it all up again.
You ever
So
bring
we're
that?
not, digging up a brand new road per se?
They did it on 7th. We had that brand new road and they had to dig it back up when they came through. That's why we have that gravel.
That's what
on our
I'm
place.
getting at, as far, I realize this has already been approved and everything, and that's great, but as far as
Those pipes
trying
on,
not to dig it back up once it's
those
done.
pipes on Fifth Street are all rotten,
did you hear that?
all the way down to the intersection.
Robert is, okay, Robert, you're gonna have to,
Okay, those pipes right from the church, say, all the way down to Fifth are completely rotten. Most of them have inner tubes on there from previous leaks. You kick the pipe, it will leak.
Well, if that's the case, then in my discussions with Cheryl previously, I had been told that things were in pretty good shape. Well, if that's the case, if the water lines are shot, then, you'll have to hold, Councilman Burr, you'll have to hold off and see if we can find funding elsewhere.
Yeah, they're definitely sharp. I mean, that was like 3 years ago. We replaced several sections of pipe down there that still have what I call the inner tube and end clamps on them.
Bands, yeah, Band-Aids.
And that's also the case up on 8th in a couple of spots. And I can name 20 other places around town where they're rotten.
Well, if that's, do you have any documentation of that by chance, any pictures or work orders or anything that we could use for a funding application?
I think Paul may have some pictures. Did you take pictures up on 8th? When we done that with the inner tube?
no, you,
That was when that week we worked there, 12 o'clock at night. We'll go back, what, 3, 4 years? Yeah, it was on, when we were very honest having a new house, just outside there.
that's
That's
seven,
so,
Oh, 7th, sorry, yeah, 7th.
yeah,
Yeah, 7th.
okay,
So that'll be 7th Street?
that got replaced though.
No, it's gone into, unless that's been done since the
Yeah,
guys
I thought those lines were all new up there.
Yeah,
on 7th?
Yeah, we're talking about Fifth Street, we need to
yeah,
know.
this is Fifth Street,
Fifth Street's the one that's gonna get paved, so that's what,
Yeah, Fifth Street is definitely bad. Fifth, you've got 6th. 7th.
okay, so, Mr. Nelson, what's the steps now? If we're putting a hold on something for more research?
Yeah, we have to get the documentation, and again, my apologies, I was under the impression that Fifth Street was, in pretty good shape as far as the water and sewer. The challenge, I mean, you don't really pave it for this stuff, it's gonna be a problem. So it all depends on where the water main is. If the water main is in
show you these spots, if that's easier. I also had some documentation and maybe a couple of pictures.
Sure, no, that'd be great. The only concern I would see is that if this drags on past a year, TIB has shown a willingness to take funding back. So again, I don't want to pay them or something's bad, but I also want to be aware, and I think we should probably sooner than later, and take a look at where those issues are. So how soon could you have the documentation and pictures of what's going on there up there?
Probably by the weekend.
All right, well, maybe we can couple that with my trip down there, maybe later next week, to talk to some grant info, so, folks are, we can look at either Tuesday, Wednesday, or Friday. I will be happy to cruise down, and we can take a look at what you've got and, come up with a game plan.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, that's a date.
Do we know what year the pipes on Fifth Street, is that documented? Do we have actually blueprints somewhere that says these pipes were laid and then these pipes were fixed and the years that it was done and the locations? Is there some sort of record keeping going on with all of that?
Unfortunately, Darla, as far as I know, I haven't seen, or I don't think we do on
I mean,
all
so
the
we
streets.
just surmise that everything's good to go and we roll over the top of it? I mean, how do we know that?
Yeah, I don't know about
Mr.
that.
Nelson, the question is how,
Okay, let's keep
how,
those points down, please.
how are projects documented and recorded? Are those blueprints or, maps that are in the office?
4 years in office and she doesn't know.
Yeah, that's generally how it goes. The challenge you've got is that a lot of that infrastructure is closing on 100 years old. Like Rose was saying, it went in the 30s and 40s.
That kind of validates my point.
It is very, very, very common, and I've served about 2 dozen small towns like Lindsay and Washington. It's very uncommon to find blueprints for a whole town.
So the only stuff that is documented is the newer stuff that's happened
Every
10,
project,
15 years ago or whatever.
every project has a map down
Guys,
there.
there's way too much talk back and forth. Go ahead.
Whatever Mr. Booth is telling me, or in this case, I thought this city, I'm really relying on folks that work day-to-day with the infrastructure. Unfortunately, the maps and the accuracy on said maps is not very reliable.
Okay, so that research can be helped out with Robert and you and Joe in a combination? Okay,
That sounds perfect. Let's look at doing something next week.
okay, all right. All right. Okay, so back to the agenda. Item B, building permits.
Mayor, do you have anything else for me?
No. No, I do not. So thank you so much for quote-unquote attending.
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't see all of your faces, and I look forward to seeing you hopefully next week.
Okay, all right, thank you, sir.
Thanks, folks.
Bye-bye. All right, so building permits. One is for, a Timothy Kindle, and one is for James Rorschach. And I would think that Mr. Rorschach would recuse himself.
Definitely from that one.
Okay.
I make a motion that we approve Dorshak's building permit.
Second that.
Okay, and then Timothy Kindles.
make a motion that we approve the, building permit for Timothy Kindle.
I'll second that.
Okay. Oh. Can we do a combined, all in favor, say aye on both of those, or do we have to do something separately? I forgot. Okay, so with both, building permits being motioned and approved,
Since Mr. Dorshak has to.
we
recuse
have to do
himself.
it separate.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. And I
Thank you,
apologize
Rose.
for slipping
You're
at the
welcome.
at the wheel. Okay, so the, motion for, Mr. Dorshak's, permit, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I guess.
And any opposed? Motion carries on that permit. Now, I am, having the motion and the second for the Kindle building permit. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Motion carries. So, apologize for my mess up. Item C, Resolution 2205, Fair Housing Resolution. Council, it is the green sheet. Sir?
I have a question about the permits. I wrote a letter to both you, city council that was directed to the mayor's office or the clerk that I haven't heard anything back on. I asked, and then I directed one to Ms. Robert Lemon, asking for you to take a look at how you are interpreting the need for permits. Because I believe currently, the way you're doing it sets the town up for major liability. Because at this time, you're saying that if someone had a window broken and needed to have their window replaced, they have to wait for the next city council meeting to occur and then get approval before they can replace that. This would allow for, if it was the winter time, that somebody could freeze to death. It could happen that somebody breaks in because the window's already broken and creates liability in that reason. And if the town isn't making a decision, and right now is what I'm seeing of the way the permits are being applied in this process, is there's people, I won't name the person, but I know who it is, that is taking their agenda and basically using this approved permit process to harass people that they don't like.
Mr. Sperring, you were emailed back. Came from the clerk's email in response. Every one of the council members got a copy of your email. There was no desire to address that. So I thank you. But
Okay, so that's good. Then now it's
We
in
are
the city
going
council
back to-
meetings, public record, that you guys want to take that liability on. Thank you.
Council, you have the
He's
green.
talking about me. I happened to read an ordinance that was still on the books. I was not interpreting it, I was reading it.
Okay, done.
When you boldly pronounce one particular word, I would say that's an interpretation.
Fine. I'm not gonna take you on.
Okay,
I've got better things
we
to
are
do.
now dealing with Fair Housing Resolution 2205,
Okay, council,
and that's what
it
we're
is,
doing.
it is your green sheet. This is necessary for approval, and all it is an update from the previous fair housing resolution. And, can't remember, was it Michelle Riley? Department of Commerce, requested a copy of this for, updating for the grants, for any grants, so we have to update.
I make a motion that we accept the Fair Housing Resolution 2205.
I second that motion.
Okay, moved and seconded to approve Fair Housing Resolution 2205. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Motion carries.
May I ask a question real quick about that resolution?
We've got mayor's report. What is your question,
I
ma'am?
was just curious if there was new wording or something put into it?
No, it's
or-
to update the contact person. Okay, mayor's report for April 26, 2022. The code compliance officer update from Henry Toma, please, at this moment.
House numbers in the previous bill, put a little note in there saying please get your numbers on. Started out with 48 houses that didn't have numbers, down to 45. Okay? It seems like if an ambulance looks for a house and there's no number on it, somebody could die inside. Gotta get these numbers on. Now, that's the next thing. What would you like to do to get these numbers put on these houses?
I think we need to update our street signs also.
That's,
You can't read
I've
half
got to
those
call into the sustainability program through the penal system, where they may make the signs for us,
Oh, okay.
okay? And they say that there are rules for colors and reflectors and all that, but
Even nice,
Just-
just shining like
just-
black.
just get some nice ones, get them all black and white again. That would work for it, and put them on both sides. Because the hardest thing is you drive down the street and there's nothing on, you gotta wait till you pass it to look back. I noticed that, so that's a thing that, checking on how much the materials would cost if we had to do it ourselves. Just do it at the shop and make them stencils at $15 per set. Stencils, you just do them, and then screw them back up on the poles. A little project for I don't know who, maybe me, I don't know, but it could happen. And those are the two things, and you've got my letter for the nuisance.
Council, that is the blue letters, it's double-sided. Got
These
draft on
are
it.
according to Ordinance 1101, that's what has to go to the people that are causing a nuisance in the town. And that would be the first thing that would go out, whether it's the cars or debris, junk, fire hazard, etc.
We're gonna have to invest in a new printer to print out about what we.
Possibly.
But, that's the letter that, according to the ordinance, that's what's supposed to be sent out first.
Okay.
And then if they don't respond, then you go to section 6, 7, 8, and then he knows all, you wrote it, so it's gotta be good. So we're only gonna follow it now,
Yeah.
and hopefully clean everything up. I mean, the thing is, the alternatives would cost the town to start with, but hopefully with the liens and the court costs and everything from the owners, maybe they'll clean it up before it gets that far. That's what you try to do,
Right.
and we'll see what happens cleanup day.
Good,
No.
good, get rid of the scumbags.
Yep,
Mr.
that's it. That's so
Okay.
far,
So if in your reading on the draft of the letters there, if you want to add something, subtract something, let Henry know. He's in the office there. Okay, and, yes, ma'am.
I wanted to talk about, he was asking about getting people to put numbers up on their houses. I would like to ask the council to cause the town of Lynn to send out letters to those addresses directly.
It's probably the next thing to do.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that was just kind of general
Well,
on the bill
time
and.
frame.
It was general first, now we're gonna dive
No, I
down
found out
into it, so
who
thank you
did
for your
this.
suggestion.
Okay.
Okay,
It's something you have to have on the house, it's state law, it's an RCW.
and Henry and I had a conversation conversation with the Adams County building inspector today, correct? And he enforced the fact of the EMS desiring to have the house numbers and all that. So it's not just Town of Lynn that's deficient in that. So there's some things that Andy is going to be working with Henry on getting things organized. And Henry made mention of the free dump day. It is this Saturday, 8 o'clock. Rose has said that she's gonna be there with her pickup for any assistance needed and offering her help. And any council members that want to help also, you're welcome to show up, 8 o'clock at the shop. Pink sheet. The pink sheet, council. On one side is a quote, on the other side is another quote. You can see that one is for 2 tires, one is for 4 tires, and this is for the 1999 Chevy pickup, town pickup. I would like to get your thoughts on putting new rubber on the pickup for town crew.
Myself, I wouldn't buy just 2 tires for my own rig, so I don't know whether, but I'm not the Town of Lynn, but I would think we would just replace all 4 myself.
I agree.
Cause then they'll probably be the last that truck sees anyway.
Yeah.
Let us hope.
So, I mean,
And as you can see that it is strictly one quote for, from Les Schwab. Close, local, whatever you wanna call it. Yes, the four tires would be desirable, but it's what you guys want to decide.
I make the motion, we go with the 4 tires.
I second that.
Okay, motion's been made to go with 4 tires, with Les Schwab. All in favor, say aye.
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 And any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, just added information, the Public Works Board construction, which is the Lynn Unpaved Streets Surfacing Project that was approved last October, is progressing. Documents are being reviewed and signed, sent. So that's information there. Back to the agenda, Finance Committee.
Okay. Myra, did you have anything?
No, I didn't.
Okay, I make a motion that we pay the warrant check register dated April 12th, 2022 to April 25th, 2022 in the amount of $58,029.82.
Okay, moved and seconded to approve the warrant register April 12th through April 25th of 2022 for $58,029.82. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, we also have outstanding invoices dated from March 31st, 2022 to April 25th, 2022 in the amount of $6,884.39.
I make the motion, we accept those warrants.
Or second. Oh, is that the motion? Sorry.
I second the motion.
I make
Okay.
a motion.
Okay, I don't know who made what.
I have a motion to James.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to approve the pending or outstanding invoices March 31st to April 25th for $6,884.39. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, we've got, Mr. Robert New. Do you have anything for the good of the order or whatever's.
Yeah, I do tonight. First off the agenda is sewer. Sewers need flushing. I don't know why they're not being done. Because the town crew can't put the tank on back of the truck, or what?
That's a question.
Yeah.
Okay, the pump on the back of the tank was busted,
Oh, right.
so that is being replaced.
How long will this take? That's what I want to know.
The
because it's
pump
on.
is in the shop right now.
And so,
All we have to do is put it on.
okay,
The material to flush the sewer lines just got delivered yesterday or the day before. So that is, in our possession right now, so.
so when might we expect the sewers to be flushed? There's a lot of people are having problems and that needs to be dealt with now.
Okay, the sewer lines for the town will be, accomplished when we can get, I can't give you an answer because we have emergencies here and there, off and on, back and forth. So, can I put down tomorrow? No, I can't. Can I put down a week from now? No, I can't. It's as soon as we can get everything gelled together.
See, I personally would class that as an emergency. They haven't been done for quite a while.
The main line sewers are flushing nicely. We have inspected or lifted the manholes, periodically through all of these other, projects and checked them out. So,
What
And,
used to be done, they would start from the top.
okay,
You make yourself a grid, you work all the way down.
right.
Flush all the systems. In the years I worked for the town, we never had a problem. No sewer backups, nothing like that. So why all of a sudden is there all these problems?
The problems are coming from the private lines that are in, the streets, yes. But the main lines for the town are clear and running, or not clear, but they're running.
I have had a look. Now the other question was water meters. We've been having a lot of problems and misreads with water meters. Okay, now, I've been told different stories. Apparently they've all been fitted wrong.
What do you mean?
They've been put in wrong, basically.
We have had one that was put in backwards, and that has been remedied, so we are watching it to make sure that it is done correct, or reading correctly.
So there's no problems with any of the other meters?
That part I can't answer you, because we just got through, doing the latest meter reads this morning, or tomorrow morning. Still working on it.
So our handheld the handheld we have in the truck you drive around that beeps, reads every meter, is that wrong?
No, but Zach is coming, this next week.
That's what I heard. Now, how much does that cost a time for them to come down and try to remedy the situation that they could not fix 5 years ago?
That part I don't know. It's
I
$1,000.
would personally say that's a waste of money because something's definitely wrong there.
Right, I agree.
And they
It
do-
hasn't, the handheld cannot communicate with the meters. The meters have a number, and then, that number has to go into the handheld, and then that information has to go into the
I know,
computer
we
with
just
all
do
of
it
that
all the
stuff,
time.
okay.
It's
But
programmed
it's,
computer. Go.
no, something went wacko up there on 8th Street or 7th Street. Some of those meters weren't registered correctly, so they really haven't been reading. We didn't discover that until this last year.
Well, that's amazing because when they first went in.
They should have been, yes, I agree.
We were getting 85 to 90% full reads on that. Then you had the digital meter, which you go up and you press, which was working. Now, I haven't seen this done. My meter reading was actually wrong this week. Because after tagging in a husband or wife, I got a read it, they eyeballed it. And I thought, why are they eyeballing that?
Because I requested all the meters to be eyeballed, just like I asked last year to everybody, so that we could start fresh, start from zero. You gotta start somewhere. Okay, so that's where all the eyeballs came from. And then from that point, then that's where we found that the handheld wasn't reading correctly. So it's just a process that is slow, stinking
I
slow.
kind of realise that, but then, you know, you got the town crew in there. Now, I'm going down the city, I'm going around the town, what do I see? Weeds growing everywhere. Tumbleweeds all up the alleyways. That have been there for 2 years. You can't tell me that, I mean, you say to me, I
Okay.
criticise the town crew. I work for it and I know what's going on. They are not doing their job properly.
Okay, would you write down all those locations so that I can corner the town crew on that?
They need to be, because
Will
you know,
you please- will you-
maybe they need the proper guidance.
Will you please write down those
I
locations?
sure you will.
And on the sewer problems, when you reported that the two people that were having sewer line problems, I called and asked, had a conversation with those people. They said that they didn't have any idea what was being talked about. There's no sewer problems.
That's different than
So-
what I've been here.
No, okay, but please understand.
Yeah, see, you got to see my point. I work for the town, it's like Steve was saying, up on 8th, those pipes are on. On 7th, they're on. I worked on those pipes. I was
Okay.
in Joe on those pipes. We were there late at 9 o'clock at night. So I know where all the locations are on the pipes.
Okay,
I know how the meters work. A lot of numbers are coming back wrong,
okay.
you know, so if you
And
get
that's
two
why
people-
we go out and reread or read first with eyeballs.
You know, there was a simple system of doing that. You have one fella, he eyeballs it, he writes his number down. Other fella goes in, he eyeballs it, he writes his down, then they compare, and you don't get wrong readings,
Okay,
you know?
and that's being done right now, yes,
Oh, that's so amazing.
yes.
I'm just disgusted how the town's gone downhill, I really am.
Okay.
I know we're
Are you-
making improvements in certain areas.
Yes, we are
No,
progressing,
That's good,
yes.
but for
So
the rest-
if you wouldn't mind writing down, give me those addresses so that I can corner them.
I can do that, and the same with alleyways.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, like re-graveling, you know, re-graveling the alleyways,
Okay,
graveling and so.
that would be wonderful. That would be wonderful.
And we can see some of that done.
That would be
Things are
wonderful.
going up nicely,
Yep.
you know.
Anything else?
No, I can think of.
Okay, good. All right, Mr. Wold.
Well, mine's not that exciting, but, so at the last fire meeting, fire department, I know we used to do it years ago, and it's been a long time, but we talked about that we could go around and check all the town's fire extinguishers again here soon, as long as that's okay with
Hydrants.
the town,
The hydrants.
the hydrants, not extinguishers, sorry, hydrants. But we could get it done in, you know, one of our meetings versus the town crew taking 2 weeks or
Right.
that way it's not pulling them away from spraying some weeds maybe or something
Yeah.
like that. You know, but just, wanted to bring it out there. We discussed it at our last fire meeting, so
Okay.
fire department's willing to do that. So,
And we'll get with, you and Joe to, because I'm sure that there are certain ones that need repairing.
And I know,
So that-
well, like you said, that one was actually taken out, clear down at the end of Third, which
Right.
I would assume is gonna have to be replaced someday.
Someday, yeah, it needs to, yes.
Also get with the pool, because there was one year where you guys, as firemen, went out to flush the mains and the fire hydrants, and it was the same time we were filling the swimming pool. So it really caused kind of an odd problem in the system from so much.
Oh, okay.
So much going out of it at once, 'cause
I'm guessing,
just if,
I'm
Yeah.
guessing we might possibly do it the next meeting. It'll be done soon,
well,
I'm
like
guessing.
Lorinda Ritz, if you just tell her
Okay.
when you guys are thinking
Oh,
about
Adam-
that.
Yeah, we'll get in
Adam,
cahoots
get
with
with that.
everybody.
Adam
but-
should know, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, is that it?
Yeah, that's all I had, so.
Okay. That's good. Miss Myra, do you have anything? No? Miss Laura? No? Mr. Jim?
Okay, the only thing that I'd like to raise is the simple fact, we have ordinances in this town. Unless they are amended, they are as read. And we need to adhere to the ordinances. Okay? Also, the resolutions. that doesn't agree with our ideas, okay? There has to be a lot more thought to something. And I don't see a reason to change an ordinance to benefit one person over the good of all. That's all I have to say.
Can you tell us what you're talking about? What ordinance? you're-
Ordinances,
Which
it
ordinance?
doesn't matter.
Okay, well, it seemed like
Okay.
you were referring to a certain situation.
Nope,
Just a blanket, all ordinances. Okay, that was it?
that's it.
Okay, the signed in people, Darla Shaver.
So last week I was here, I think, there was quite many of you here. I had talked about the water situation and the water that was sold with the windmill projects. And I brought up again that, the windmill projects are coming in 2023. And I think the new little snippet of pump 9 being down, which is the water that they referred to using after conversations with Joe, after conversations with the Department of Ecology, Water Master, the geological engineer that did so much work for the town of Lynn back in 2012 with his recommendations, which I had extensive conversations with him, and I do have all the emails of basically stating the water was used. They were told a long time ago not to be very careful with the water usage, that it would affect our wells here in town at 800 feet and up, and all of the rural wells in the area. The groundwater runoff is not coming back, and they have stated that we will never get enough water to put that water back. And now with pump 9 obviously down, we've addressed it a couple times. I reached out to the city council meeting when COVID was happening and asked kind of what we were gonna do. I was kind of told that, well, it would be a case-by-case situation. And so when I came in this last time, Paula had said, well, we decided it was gonna be a case-by-case situation. To me, that is, I guess, I want some reassurance, or I would like to know, I guess, what the protocol is going to be. Case-by-case is not a very descriptive process. We're talking about ordinances, we're talking about, all of the way that everything is decided. I'd like to know who gets to decide these things, and if this is something that we can put in effect a change of how this is addressed. Who made the decision in the first place? I mean, was that a decision that you made, Paula?
For what?
To sell water to Blattner, the very beginning.
No, it was
For the city council?
It was council.
It was a town council.
Let me make a note that was a different council back then.
So I guess my question is that at this point, is that something that the city council still decides, or because it's a case-by-case situation? I think when you put out a city curtailment of water in a year that we have a drought and a fire, and I have fire coming at me and I don't even have any water, and you're trying to figure out how to open up the swimming pool to get water for those guys. I mean, I think that needs to be more than just a few people deciding when it affects so many. And you just said the ordinances are about affecting the many, correct?
That is correct.
Yes. So I think I would like to know, I guess I would like to know what kind of protocol we're gonna put in place. And it's not gonna be just a case by case. I'd like to understand what that really means and what we're gonna do to put something in effect that this is something that the whole town gets to discuss.
Well, Mike is correct, it was a different council, it was the previous council, they made the decision, they made the motion to do, whatever project came through, whatever company that would come through, if they presented, then it would be case by case at whatever time that it was,
Was the city council given the report that you guys had on file from 2012 that was basically hired and done by the town of Lynn? By one of the most renowned geological engineers in the United States? Were they given a copy of that before they were given that, to make that decision?
2012, I have no idea.
Well, I mean, there's a 300-page report that this guy did, so I'm just saying if they're going to make a decision like that, that's probably pertinent information,
Okay.
right?
Sure.
So, I mean, at this point, so we can't undo that, but every time I'm asking, I hear a case-by-case situation. So I guess what I wanna know is, how is that decided?
That would be presented to the council.
So I'm Blattner, and I'm gonna be coming in for the windmill farms. I come, and you guys decide that?
And the presentation would be given to the council. They would make the decision, yes or no. So that's the case by case. If I came in and I was a big company wanting to do the water, I would do my presentation. Council would listen, yes or no.
So is this
That's
something
the
that the
case by
city
case.
can, is this something that the city can file a petition that would obviously change that process? So it's in record that that's not something that we're doing anymore? Is that a way that
That
you go
part
about
I don't
changing
know.
that?
If the council wants me to say flat out no to anybody and everybody, then I could say, don't even think about doing any presentation because the council has given me instructions of no. But that's a council's decision. And the money that is brought in, that's a different subject. The water that has gone out is not drinking water. So, it's up to whatever the city, council is.
It's still all the same, it's the water in this aquifer. It doesn't matter if it's the drinking water or not. Have you read the report? Have you read that report?
I truly do not know what report that you are talking about. Jamie, do you?
Yes, you were on council when it was done.
Okay, was
Back in
I given a
2012.
copy of that?
Everybody was given a copy of it, and we made some changes to wells. We lowered wells. We asked people not to water their lawns right before Derby.
That's the reason the
We
well
had
up
no
on
water
the
at
hill
all.
is so incredibly deep and it's clear to hell.
You
It's
guys
because-
just
Stop.
charged me for
One person
30
at a
days.
time.
No,
Denise?
I got that report from you just a few months ago, and I was charged $30 for those pages. So you don't tell me that you didn't know about that report.
So-
That's flat out not true.
So I'm gonna just say this, that well up there in this report, the reason that well is to those depths is because exactly what that report stated. He said, if you go and drill another well around here above 800 feet, all you were doing is tapping all of your own wells again, which serves you no purpose, and all of the rural wells in the area. That is in that report. So that's the reason that well is so incredibly deep. That was the whole point of that. And he did the whole report on the groundwater runoff, that it's not coming back. Hence, which I said last week, or 2 weeks ago. This is not the evergreen state, right? We don't have water, we don't have circles, we don't have trees. There's no water here, everybody knows that. So I guess, okay, I'm asking the council, what kind of protocol are we gonna put in place to stop this so this doesn't happen again? We can't have another sneaky maneuver. No amount of money is worth that. We don't have it to spare. So what do we have to do to get that shored up so we as people can feel comfortable knowing that we can water our yards and we can send out the fire trucks? And we can have a softball field and we can water the lawn on the dead people, for crying out loud. That's a whole other saga. I mean, this is real. This affected a lot of people.
Well, I know that since the last 4 years, we've never had to tell anybody not to water their lawns.
You just did last year. Was it
There was
last
a
year?
water curtailment last year after the water was sold. Did you not
Oh
get
my
the report?
goodness.
Did you not get the little printout?
But, so Darla, you would like them to make a motion possibly or consider something that would allow
To keep this for
only,
Adams County residents.
only the
Yes.
road crew and the fire department and those people, right?
South side.
Okay,
I voted no against selling the water when I was on the council. I don't know if you know that.
I appreciate that.
And farmers.
You can say no to Swinnerton, Blacker, but there are all these things called interlocal agencies, but we have agreements with like the county. It's hard to say no to them, to sell the water to them, because it's Adams County.
See,
But-
and the thing is that I have the water logs for how much water was taken out of there, and the counties in Holland tanker loads that, are shipping 9,000 gallons of truckloads that are lined up for days, and they haul nights too.
It's one of our most precious commodities, I don't think we got pennies on the dollar for it.
And again, it doesn't even matter what we got for it, because when the fires were here and there was smoke everywhere, like I said, nobody could breathe. Can you buy air? All of our properties, and the reason I didn't go to the news, because that's what the Department of Ecology, the water master, Even the geological engineer all told me, this is a news story. There was no other city that would accept this and take this on, not Othello, not Bench, not any of them. They all told Blackmer no. So the fact of the matter is that when you start thinking about the dollars and the pennies and all of that, it doesn't make any difference. You just got a bid for $24,000 for the pump. Did we make enough water to pay for that pump and that well out there? No. And even if we did, at what cost? I mean, this is these people's community. They pay taxes here. They're built a home here. They're raising their kids here. They should have water and they should have sewer.
They do.
Look, I know that these sewer lines are not okay either. I mean, and that's a whole nother thing, because it's like, we don't have maps, we just talked about that. This is as old as dirt, it takes a lot of money to put all those in, and it's like, we don't even know what's there, and neither do they when they buy a house. So to make somebody go and dig up the sewer line, which is something we already all talked about when it happened to Coons up there on the hill. You know, they were out there digging up their street, trying to figure out how they were gonna do it. The people over there, they borrowed a loan from the city to do it. It's like, you know, that's the kids' college fund, for crying out loud. That's not okay.
Okay.
So I guess what I wanna know is that how do you guys wanna do this? I guess I'd like some answers.
I know, I personally, I can't speak for everybody here, but I'm totally against us ever allowing that to happen again, but
So can't we make
That's
a
me.
motion? Can I make a motion now?
I
There's no
definitely,
project
and if
before
it,
you yet.
and if we're ever proposed with that, I definitely feel that everybody involved in that decision-making deserves a copy of the report that you're talking about. You know, but I mean, it's pretty obvious to me anyway, that it doesn't need to happen again, because that's water we're never gonna get back.
Never.
So, but like I said, I'm just one person,
I
That's
think
my opinion.
everybody feels that way.
So is this something you would put into place, Paula, then, can you make a motion on that for them to decide on?
They make the motions.
I'm just making a motion right now. Record it, please.
Okay, Robert, motion.
Make the motion that the town sells no more water to big companies apart from community members, which i.e. would be community, us, the town,
in the county.
and the county.
And how
Adams
about,
County residents?
Adams County, yes.
I second it. Okay, moved and seconded to,
I have a question. Okay,
For me?
no ma'am,
Okay.
just for the general audience. Okay, we are going to say no more water to anybody, okay? You either make a blanket statement or you don't, all right? Now think about it. How many people come and get water? I'm not talking about Swinnerton or anybody, any of these other companies. That's a foregone conclusion, according to what's going on here. But, what about these farmers?
That's my
It's
decision.
That's
No,
Adams County
no, listen to
residents.
me.
They said they can.
What about these farmers that come in? They're Adams County residents,
Yeah.
but are they town of Lynn residents? This is the water we're talking about, okay?
Right, I
Are we
understand that.
going to eliminate them?
I understand that, but if you don't include the county, so you're gonna eliminate your fire department too?
Well, obviously, the fire department is here, correct?
Well, I'm just saying though, but they're under the county blanket, so that's why I'm bringing that to your attention, Jim.
Okay. So, we're going to allow Adams County,
That's what you're proposing.
Yeah, I'm talking about no big company, no windmill farms, no solar farms, no outsiders, no other town sells water. We are the only town, and it's the pennies on the dollar.
These big companies can afford to go to the river, they can afford to do all kinds of things, like I said.
And
You go to-
My husband,
restitution to
when
the
they were out here
taxpayers.
redoing this road, they went to Warden and they went and got the irrigation water that nobody wanted. I mean, there's options, there's alternatives. This doesn't mean that, you know, that they're out of luck and they're just, you know, I mean, that's a multi-million-dollar company. They couldn't have sent a tanker to the river? Of course
Okay,
they
there's
could.
there's a motion on the floor here. Yeah.
Robert motions that the town sells no more water to big companies, only Adams County residents and Town of Lynn residents. Did I state that correctly?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, you wanted to include the road crew.
Which
She's
is
just,
Adams County.
she just wrote,
Yeah.
That's Adams County.
but she's saying Adams County residents is what she's saying in the motion. Adams County businesses and residents or
Businesses and
something.
residents.
You gotta add something to that.
Businesses and residents. Okay, Adams County businesses and residents. Thank you for clarifying that. Thank you.
What you said?
Yes, yeah, now, absolutely. How does the cost of water at the wells, when they come in and they buy, when it's on the dollar, how does that compare to town costs?
That again was a council decision, $10 for the first 1,000 gallons, and then $1 for every 100 gallons after that.
Yeah, because I don't think we should be hitting residents all the time, I mean, that's what that's called.
This isn't residents, it's like the farmers come in. Okay, so you got your motion, and there is a second. So all in favor, does that need to be repeated again? What you're voting on?
What
I know. All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 And all, any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Mandy Pfeiffer is next on the list.
I just put Andrew in now.
On the last meeting, it was brought up on that April 12th one that Holly didn't give any, the mayor didn't give any warning on Dale Wagner and that Roman showing up. The reason she didn't, she knew just moments before that meeting started. The reason I know that is because I had to go ask, I had to talk to Roman on a whole nother thing. And if they were in town, they came. So she wouldn't have been able to give anybody a heads up that they were coming anyway. And I sure the hell didn't know they were coming. Okay, anyway, on that, then, that codifying the ordinance with fries, the mayor had stated that it was just done in July of 2021. So the math kind of obviously tells you it's not due yet. Jesus. Okay, and then this is the other thing on Jim. This is a full-out ruler on our mayor, for God's sakes, okay? Coming at her with every little peddly, stupid thing that people can come up with. I get there's issues, I get there's problems, and they're working on it, but she cannot make a decision. The council has to make it. Which brings me to my question. When this has been brought up before, how come nobody on the council says anything? Is it because you can't? Or you're not allowed to address it or something? That nobody ever says anything?
I'm still new, I'm still learning and figuring out the ropes.
This is a new council, Mandy, and we're still learning. And, you know, the more we learn, the better that's gonna be.
Right. But you guys can answer stuff, right? Like if we ask you something.
Yeah, I mean, if I know the answer, I don't have a problem saying anything, but I don't wanna steer you in the wrong direction and say the wrong damn thing either, cause I've done that before too.
Most of the time the questions are aimed at Paula, so we don't want to step on anyone's toes. If they're aimed at Paula, we're going to let Paula answer the questions.
Okay, right. And then I'm trying to understand this codifying thing.
Well,
Because it makes me
codification
laugh.
is the rules and regulations. That's what codification is, the systematic, like lining everything up. It has nothing to do with the legality of an ordinance. It's just that they're being put in place in the
Categories.
Oh, no, that isn't
Because see, as
correct.
I understood it,
Yes,
the
it is.
council
It's a
has the
law.
say.
Excuse me,
I was trying to figure out this codification thing, is because if the previous mayors didn't do it, like you're telling her she's supposed to be doing it. So if the current mayor has to take on all the crap from all the mayors before that, how in the heck are we expecting her to get anything done? Anything at all? You know, I get the big issues and people are upset, you know, I understand the water thing, I understand all that. I just don't understand the piddly crap. Everybody gets together and they're bitching about one little tiny thing. It's crazy. It is absolutely crazy to go through all this.
Okay, thank you. Next on the list, Peter Staring, but he is stepped out. We'll go to Kelsey Kramer.
Okay, first, I have something that I'd like to give you guys if I can, if you would like to.
Guys,
That's okay.
Guys,
Sorry.
No, you're fine. I know that I'm not really supposed to hand you guys something, so I wanna ask you if that's okay. So the
A book?
first, I know, it's not a book. The first thing is a letter from the head sewer maintenance plumber from Basin. He gave us a letter about our sewer problem.
Thank
Yeah. So Paula, we met with her yesterday. Everybody doesn't know, but our sewer's backed up into our basement, and it's not just ours, it's our two neighbors' houses as well. Our insurance company has come and done what they can to clean it up. They won't continue to do any cleanup until the problem is fixed. The quote to get the problem fixed is $40,000. I don't have $40,000
Is that for,
to fix it.
is that
So-
for all of you though, Kelsey? It's not just
Right.
yours, right? I mean, that's for all the houses that are tied into
Yeah.
this, I'm assuming?
So if you look at the second page,
Oh, okay.
Rodney drew a diagram. Paula had asked us to do that. We met with her yesterday. Yeah. So this is how it's set up now, where we're the house in the middle. The other two lines come into ours, and then they run through Underberg and Zorn's property, and then goes into the alley behind. So our house is the low spot. Our house will always be the one that backs up. That's what it's gonna be. The other two houses are unaffected now. We have some options that the plumber listed. I think it's the 5th paragraph. 1, 2, 3. Yes. So he says the ideal situation would be for the city of Lynn to plot an easement between 112 and 114. Those are Oscar Underberg and Jeannie Zorn's houses. Take ownership of the existing sewer line. The city of Lynn could then install a city sewer main manhole where the residents at 109, 111, and 113 could connect to independently. As the homeowners, we would incur the costs from our home to that newly made manhole. The city would assume responsibility for the manhole through the property, getting an easement through the other homes' properties, and, into the alley. So that is the next diagram. That's what that would look like. So it's the one with the red.
The one with the red's the one you're talking about, what it would look like.
Yeah, that's the proposal.
Okay.
So Paul asked us to write a
Okay.
proposal. So this is what
Okay.
the plumber said, to fix it correctly, this is what
Right,
needs to
so
be
we'd
done.
have to, the city would have to add that
And then they would assume responsibility from here
to
to
here.
here. And we,
Okay.
each house would have to go in individually and connect, and then we would be responsible.
I would think the city would maybe, I mean, just looking at it, wouldn't you?
It has to do with the slope. Don't ask me, because I'm not a plumber.
yeah.
No, I get the flow, but I mean,
It has
you
something
think
to
you
do
can
with
dig it down enough to where you, well, I don't know.
Rodney might know better. It has something to do with the slope, but
Well,
it's not enough.
Yeah.
Or-
I'm just
The-
looking
the
at
main
tying
line
into
on
the
Bell-
wall of the
The
street.
main line on Bell Street is at about the same
Oh, I-
depth
okay,
as
I
our
see what
lines
you're
in the
saying,
street there.
So, yeah, you do have to, there's gonna have to be an easement
Absolutely. Right now, there are
of
none.
some
Paula
sort,
asked
and I have
us.
no clue.
We went to all of our neighbors, all of them. We went to Dawn and Oscar, Jeannie, Ty and Courtney Stromeyer, and Lisa. Nobody has an easement. We don't have an easement in our deed. Right now, we don't know who owns any of it, to be honest. You guys can say what you want, we can say what we want. I don't own any of it. You don't know who owns any of it. Nobody knows.
Right.
So going forward, how do we make this right? That's my question. Because we can't, our house is inhabitable. We can't live in our home.
Yeah, and unfortunately, yours isn't the only one on that street with this issue right
I
now either.
understand. I'm aware now. Yeah.
block away.
Yeah.
Yeah. Has the same exact issue apparently, you at least know where yours is running to, I don't know.
Yeah, we do, we paid, the third, or the last page on there is the first bill that we incurred. We have a second one that'll be coming probably for $2,000 for the scope. We paid to get it scoped, to find out what was going on. Paula did speak with, his name's Curtis with Basin, and she has his contact information, and he's willing and would love to speak to anybody that has questions for him or anything about it. We were also willing to come up with alternative plans to put in our own. Unfortunately, then it cuts our neighbors off and they don't have sewer.
What would the alternative plan be, like putting a septic in?
So we'd have to put a pump in and either run it probably through our alley in the back of our house. We'd have to run all new pipes through,
Go up the back.
go up the back, and we'd have to put up a pump, but effectively it would cut off our neighbors. They would have no sewer.
I definitely
They'd still
say
have
this
to.
is a town issue.
Well, if that's our line, then we would close that line. I'm not gonna be responsible for that line backing up into my basement, so they would not have sewer.
Right.
No, you block off your portion. They
Yeah,
still have.
but then their
theirs.
line is plugged somewhere, so then they would not have sewer, and then one of their basements would
Yeah,
not back up.
it's never.
Whoever's is lower, yes, that's what I mean when I say they will not have sewer.
Yeah.
Cause they'll be the next one.
Was this discussed with Joe Basutti, who is very knowledgeable about how all that works?
To my knowledge, and I can't speak for Paula, what she told me was that it was, and he told us to find out if anybody had easements. So that's what we did.
Okay, so he's in,
Yeah.
he would be the one that knows how a lot of that all functions.
Yeah. It sounds like nobody really knows, that's the problem. How it was
Yeah, I mean,
done.
we have this map here that I looked at earlier, but it's
It's wrong, that map is
pretty
wrong, it's
much,
showing.
it's kind of the same thing as, oh,
Yeah,
you,
see, I
okay, so
gave
you
them- I
looked
gave
at this one?
You updated it, okay, yeah,
I
it
kinda was
was,
drawing lines on it earlier, so it made sense to me, but
yeah, it was showing that it went through Jeannie's driveway there, but it
Okay, but
actually goes on their
between
property line.
Underbergs
Yeah.
and,
Yeah, it was showing on this
Oh,
side,
okay,
but that's
okay.
wrong. The camera can only get to, I don't know, about their bushes there. We can't even get it further.
oh wow.
So we don't know where,
So their bushes could be what's plugging your.
we have no idea.
Right.
Yeah,
line,
and then,
or, I mean, anything.
at that point, who's responsible? So we pay to do all this $40,000, and then either of our neighbors can flush anything they want down the toilets, and it clogs again down there, and who's responsible? Me. Because my basement will back up, not theirs.
Could be clogged down there in the main of the other way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's only.
You know, we have had problems.
No, we already dyed it and it's flowing.
I don't think they dyed it, but they did list it.
Yeah, nobody died on our.
Nobody dyed it, yeah.
Oh.
They just listed.
No,
No dye?
No.
no.
Okay. I saw it
So-
sitting on the table, so I thought it was.
No, well, at that time they came to dye it, the water wasn't moving at all, so it was up in our basement.
Okay.
So, but, so they're having issues with the line that runs through Oscar and Donna's or G's,
Mhm.
and then all the lines in the street too. So in the street, there's that Orangeburg pipe, okay, and so that's all tore up too. And then we're having issues just north of the alley. He couldn't get the camera that far, there's no access, okay, so he went out like 150 feet with the camera, and he ended up in between Jeannie and Oscar's house. So, there's either a belly in there just north of the alley, or, you know, we don't know.
And the way it is right now, there's no way of going from the alley, look up either, from what I'm seeing.
No, there's not.
Cause the nearest
There's-
pothole's over. at the
There's
street.
actually no inspection hole there at all.
That's what I'm seeing here.
So-
Holy crap.
Well, okay, Jeannie, do you have a clean out at your house outside or anything? Did you check
Nothing
with
that we found.
Underbergs?
Under
No,
Yeah.
the city guys looked, the plumbers looked, we looked, I had another guy come with the metal detector and look.
Yeah.
We couldn't find anything.
There is one there, hang on, that's, trying to get my bearings. Oscar's there,
This would be the
in this
alley
alley, yeah, so right,
between Oscar, behind Oscar's house.
yeah, so up there, about halfway, right behind the
Basically right
Richards
over
here, is a clean out. So one like that, and you can see the sewer.
Oh, well.
Remember that when I had to mark that, I dug it up with it when I was doing the alleyways? So see the other one,
Mhm.
it's like that, but that's in the alley. It's definitely there.
Behind Oscar's house?
Yeah, you're going up right more or less behind, the Richies.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's more or less level with ours, it's a little one, look like a turn-off valve.
In the alley itself?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the clean out for the main running in the alley.
I think it was, yeah.
We can't, there's no access to our line from that line.
Yeah.
So all you could see is water flowing from west to east through that hole behind Rich's house. We already looked there.
Yeah. Because
The city
that's-
guys looked there, the plumbers looked there,
Well, and
everybody's.
that was cleaned out, a year ago, 2 years ago. So, that part. And Kelsey and, Rodney are correct that their drawing here is the 3 houses all the way through to the alley. That is
They-
their private sewer line.
well, that's
Well,
debatable.
you stayed private,
Yeah.
but
There's
what-
nothing, you do, I mean,
nothing
did you
in our-
find proof? We didn't find proof.
Yeah.
That's what I wanna know.
nothing in our
Do you guys
deed.
have paperwork or
And right
anything
down
that
the street,
says?
it's the same issue.
Yeah.
obviously.
Also, I
I
do
mean,
wanna
if you
say,
guys,
I'm
if the
assuming-
city could show us proof, if you guys got anything documented saying that that's a private line, I mean, it's on the city maps.
I do also
It's
wanna
on-
make note that it's on the city map, and if it's drawn on or not, it's on a city map, but we were made aware that there's a problem on Second Street with that community line that's a private line, and that's not on this map. So I don't know how you're differentiating between what's private and what's not private. I understand none of us were here then, right? None of us were. So we don't know that. They did things, yeah, they did things wrong. I understand that. But I live here, I'm raising kids here, I wanna be here, and I want my house, somebody to be able to live in it when I'm
Well, yeah,
dead
you wanna be
in
able to
70
live
years.
there.
Yeah,
You're
and I wanna
buying
be
a
able to
house,
live there
you wanna
now.
be able to live in it.
Yeah, so what do we do going forward is my question. I understand the past is the past and there's nothing we can do about it. This is the situation that we're all in, unfortunately. It's unfortunate. But my house is inhabitable. My neighbors aren't going to be able to sell their house with this situation. And the neighbors on the other side are living in their house and they have to continue to use their sewer, which eventually will back up my house that I'm not living in and even using sewer. That I'm also paying for. All 3 of us are on one line, but we're all paying 3 separate bills also. Which is another question I have, how that works.
Well,
If it's a one
you
line,
are connected to the
sewer, one of us, so why isn't it split 3 ways?
Well, you got
We don't have 3
you got
coming
3
into
going
it.
into one, which is, yeah, I see what you're.
Right. If you're saying it's our line, then
Have you heard of this stuff before? I wonder how much of the town is like this.
probably a lot.
Well, hence,
Unless you
that's
live on
why
the
we
corner of the
explore
main.
before we pave. I mean, really,
Yeah,
that's
the street's
exactly
gonna
why
have to
we
be
explore
dug
before
out
we
either
pave.
way.
Because we have no idea what everybody has done for umpteen million years.
Yeah, and it's not
Yeah.
guys' fault, I understand.
Unfortunately, it's like the town's gonna have to go from a fresh start on a lot of this, and I'm,
Yeah, but with what magical money
Yeah,
bucket,
the
you know,
grants.
that,
that's,
Well,
well, I
that's
mean,
why I was asking the questions about the grant, because at some point, I think we gotta start trying to get the grants to fix the stuff below and work the way up, and that needs to be the priority versus, you know,
Right, and,
the surfacing.
yeah, we're gonna try to get as much grant money as we can, but unfortunately, that's not gonna happen
Yesterday.
soon, yeah, exactly.
Karen has,
I'm gonna guess that most of the older houses, 1950s and clear back, share lines. Me and my neighbors share lines. I'm underneath, I know when they were plugged up. My line goes from my house clear to the city park. You know, and it's tree roots. And it's the orange, I guess you call it clay, it is disintegrated. You know, my only line has no new pipes, is under the road. I was gonna try like you guys, do a pump go up, but I'd have to go 8 feet up, go across. What if the pump goes bad?
Yeah,
So that's what told
That's our
me
problem.
not to do that, just to, you know, but how many of these older houses are sharing lines? Like this, it's triple houses sharing one line. So figure out the age of the houses and you're
And
gonna
then it's not
be
even a
sharing
6-inch
lines.
line to boot, it's a 4-inch.
Yeah,
They're-
it's
they're-
the old,
their line or all the
Yeah.
orange birds are 4-inch.
yeah.
Right.
So there's probably quite a few houses sharing lines, but the trees haven't gotten into them because every time ours is plugged, it's the tree roots. And it's not our trees, it's in the park or it's Brad O'Neill's.
Luckily, we don't have trees, that's the
Yeah.
one good thing.
But it's, you said there was trees down the road, trees, shrubs, whatever.
Oh, yeah, there's
Yeah,
shrubs.
running
There's
through
some
Oscar's
shrubs there.
property that could
And that's-
possibly be,
Probably right where that pipe is. And we have no say over what they put in their yard.
right.
So we're responsible for that line, is what I'm being told.
He can run under the trees and there's no roots.
Oh, good, okay.
So that's what I'm saying,
He's got that.
it's either a belly where everything's hanging up, or maybe the tie-in at the alley is, you know, something's going on there.
It could have collapsed too.
So,
or
like you said, his suggestion was to have the city take ownership of that line from the road to the alley. Put in a manhole there, and then you have access to all this. You know, we'll take ownership from our house to that manhole. And then you guys get the easement and take care of that line there. You know, that was the way it should be handled, is what, according to him. This is the service manager from Basin. I mean, we could go and get a couple other, you know, guys to come out and look at it, but,
they're all gonna say the same thing, I'm sure.
Well, my
You know-
idea was different from their idea, so,
Is Steve still on the phone?
no.
Oh,
Can I ask a question?
yeah.
Does my sewer come out into that line? Does it show?
No, yours probably goes straight to the alley, I have no
We
idea.
don't know,
but-
yeah, I can't scope that
That's why I
far.
was asking if you had a clean out and they could scope down through and see where yours is, but you don't have a clean out. I find that odd that you don't have a clean out, but
We don't either, do we?
you don't.
No.
No, we don't
In
either.
your basement, you don't have a clean out?
We had them go through the toilet, or they went through the vent on top of the roof.
Oh, I thought you had one of them, like, my mom and them lived in that Sacramento place, and they had the same issue, well, there, again, the issue, but they had that, where it backed up through that clean out of the
Oh,
basement.
yeah, no, ours flooded our basement, flooded
Yeah, it came
our
up with the
carpet, our
shower.
brand new carpet, it's ruined, it's kind of.
Okay, council, you want to, take the drawings and see, do you have, your gentleman, your basin guy?
Curtis.
Did he have a suggestion on dollar amount? Because
What-
it's private.
I
right
asked
now.
him ballpark for the whole thing, and he thought 30 to 40.
Okay,
But that's the whole thing, that's coming,
That's
that's
us
heavy.
paying to fix everything,
Right.
including the road, to tear it up and
but then multiply that times everybody that does have a problem, that will have a problem, that is asking. So I
No,
have,
no, no,
I
no,
have to say,
no.
I have to say that, okay? Because.
Well, that's the thing, is it wouldn't be just the city paying $30,000 to $40,000.
Yeah.
It would be split between 3 households,
Correct,
and, you know,
correct.
and it would be split,
But-
I
Yeah,
mean,
the city's part of this is gonna be different than that, but the city's
Big dollar.
gonna have to
Right.
cover.
But you're gonna lose a
From
big
the-
dollar
we're
amount,
gonna
if we
have
have to
to
sell
add
the
a-
house and move.
Well, right, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a, you know, but yeah, it's,
well, that's the other option. I mean, we could go out the back and put a waste pump in, but we're just gonna sell the house and move out of the
Yeah, we're
community.
leaving.
I
We're
mean,
not gonna stay.
you know,
If our town or council can't.
Why?
afford it.
Why stay here, you know, if we can't get help, you know, or not necessarily get help, but get this taken care of the right way.
Because we're not the only ones,
I
this
was
is
gonna
gonna be a
say,
precedent
that's
for,
not an ending train
Yeah.
either, it's
No.
not
they're
gonna
just
be
gonna
just
run
you
everybody
guys.
out one by one.
And that's what the town doesn't need, is we don't want our local people leaving here, you know, for sure. We want,
My idea,
the people we want to leave will never leave the city.
okay, my idea was to take your line and just, if possible, continue it on to the L Street.
Yeah, but I don't think that is.
That's
That-
what I was
Same
saying, bringing up
elevation.
earlier,
Right,
that that's
that-
an elevation.
But that's what I'm saying, that was my
That was
idea.
your idea.
No, yeah, I agree.
Said-
To be honest,
Makes sense.
when this whole first thing started, I just wanted to take our line and run it right to
Yeah.
L.
Right.
But then you run into the problem where you can't cross pipes, because they're all at the same elevation right there. So you can't make a turn and go under a pipe, you can't go over a pipe. So we're kinda stuck in the middle.
Right.
It's either go out the back and separate ourselves off that line, or we all come together and take care of this problem the right way. So,
Oh, hello, how are you?
Hey, this is Courtney Strohmeyer and Ty Strohmeyer.
Okay.
113.
Okay, Well, the L Street idea is not gonna work because of the slope idea. So that's, we don't know that, we don't know that answer yet.
That's the discussion.
That's the discussion.
Okay, so I hope they can
So,
figure that out.
so the portion that you guys are all three hooked together is in the middle of Sixth Street, yes. And that is your joint private, sewer line. So, and that came from 1900, you know, when your house was.
51.
50s, and.
54 is ours.
Okay, 54 is yours. I don't know what Gonzalez's are. And I don't know when Underberg's were put in. Underberg's, lot could have been empty, nothing on it, when you guys built or your houses were built. So maybe that's why it went through in between Underberg's and Zorn's house. Just no problem, because it was empty. I know. Yeah. Right. Right. So, are
Casey,
you,
how soon can they do this?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, they are hesitant to get involved because it's a mess.
yeah,
But they, I mean, I think it's something that they're willing to do if they could get things in writing.
Basin told us that they would,
Courtney, just a second.
Basin told us that they would be willing to work with us if everybody was on the same page. You know, they don't wanna take this project on, of
Right.
course,
Okay.
if,
Bunch of ghosts
we can't
in the
figure it
park.
out, yeah. So, I mean, we could get maybe Basin back out or somebody else maybe to take a look at. Here's the thing is, you'd probably have to dig up the pipe to actually find the elevation in the street and know where we're at on L Street in the manhole. You know,
Right.
cause they're going off of, their camera in the pipe and a locator, you know, it's not 100% accurate.
They didn't know how deep.
They read our line at about 4 feet out in the middle of the street.
Okay.
So that manhole, in L Street there is like, what, 5 feet maybe? And you need a 1/4 inch per foot, 1/4 inch drop per foot. So, I mean, they'd have to, like I said, they'd probably really have to dig up the road and find out exactly where we're at and exactly what the manhole's at, calculate it all out, see if that's
Yeah.
even an option. Maybe it could be, he just eyeballed down the manhole, you know, and went off his locator on the depth.
Did they give you a time frame? Like if they started, you know, like, is it a 2-week thing, a week thing? Did they give
It'd
you
probably
an
be
idea?
a month, I bet.
Yeah.
So you guys are, if they got started tomorrow and everybody agreed on something, you would still be out of your house for a month? Okay.
So,
Well,
and then with Ty and Courtney trying to sell their house too.
unfortunately, Tamara Kroll is in the same boat, longer than a month now, so. Council, do you want more, possible
Yeah, we could get some hard numbers,
information?
you know.
Yeah, and then
We definitely need to get the ball rolling on this. for sure.
present, right now. Courtney, what?
I said this needs to get taken care of,
Yes,
figured out fastly, especially for my neighbors who are having issues and can't even live in their own house. That's not always bad.
well, no, that's not a good thing either for anybody. So, and it's not being, shoved, okay? We're just trying to get the right answers for the amount of, time and money that, is out for them, so. But I appreciate your drawings and your, due diligence with, Curtis, because he's the man at Basin, correct?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Did he give you a timeline on his schedule? Because that's what we Tamara came up with, that, they had other jobs and then they couldn't come back to land with her company.
So I'm under the impression that this is an emergency situation, so it gets priority, because we can't live in our house.
Out of basin.
Yeah, it gets priority, but everybody has to be on the same page. Which means our neighbors, we have to get numbers, I mean, we're talking thousands of dollars that I don't have, and I'm sure no resident in this community does, so.
Okay, and, you talked with Mr. Underberg?
Yes.
Okay,
At
so
length.
I can, converse with him.
Yeah, I think we talked to everybody,
That's good,
yeah.
We do.
all right. Okay,
I would like to make the council aware that in 2008 or 2009, that's when a council approved for the lines that run from the main line to people's houses to be the owner's responsibility. It wasn't that way prior to then, and I know that there was an individual that voted against it because they didn't think it was right to put that kind of responsibility, because nobody knows where those lines are. When you buy the house, you don't have this lovely map that tells you, and people's stuff goes under streets, etc. But you might want to revisit that, where the council decided to change it to being the homeowner's
I agree.
responsibility.
I agree.
Well,
You don't go and buy a house and that's not part of your home inspection, right? When you do your loan, you
Right.
do all of that.
It's
There's no
not
way to
thought
have
about.
any
It's not
knowledge
thought
of
about.
that. That's,
And I understand why it was brought up to the council, was because the town could foresee a large amount of money going out in the future because of these houses getting older. I understand both sides of it, but you might want to revisit how that is and see what you think about it, and if you think it's right for people in this day and age, now that we're finding shared sewer lines under their streets and homes that nobody was aware of. You might want to just kind of look that up
Okay.
and reconsider it.
and maybe honestly, and I know everybody's gonna go, oh my God, but maybe this is something that we up the water bill or the garbage bill or an allotment, some sort of make a special fee of, $10 a month or something, and start a fund to actually try to do this. I think everybody would be willing to chip in a little bit each month instead of having some burden like that come on, because I get that the city, maybe that would be a way to do some compensation there to make it, and I proposed that, when it happened to Coonses, when they lived up on 6th Street. I said, why don't we do some sort of, and everybody's like, oh, everybody will get mad if you raise their bill. Well, that's true until you have crap coming up in your basement. $10 is, that's a pack of cigarettes anymore, for crying out loud.
Especially if it goes under a city street. It's different in your own yard, but you're destroying a city street.
Right, so,
But also with the line of thinking too, you have to consider if you have a person that says, I'm not going to contribute, I don't want to contribute to someone else's issue or whatever, so that argument would be had, correct?
yeah, but that's no different than
I just had to
basically
say-
saying, oh, your sewer line's yours because we passed an ordinance, you passed an ordinance that this is the fund. It's the exact same thing. In the big picture, you're making somebody accountable one way or another. I think they'd rather take the $10 hit or whatever you guys wanna make it versus, having sewer pipes all back
Well, and
up and no
hopefully
money
eventually
coming in.
too, we'll be able to get some grant money, hopefully.
Right.
Right.
But right
To
now,
where it's not costing just the town.
even if you got grant money, would you be able to ever get enough to do?
See, I don't know, I'm just
numbers?
thinking any
I got
amount
a
we can
comment.
get would help.
I've got a comment on the grant money thing. This is my problem with the town. If it's some individual's line, all of a sudden these are private lines. But when you want to apply for grant money, it's a town line. That you can't use grant money for private lines. That's illegal. So they can't be private lines when there's a problem, but a public line when it's a grant, time to get a grant.
An individual can apply for grants.
Paula, when they're under the road, the town replaced them. The town replaced the entire one in front of Eric Labus's and Sheila Dutton's. And they replaced half of my private line under a state project.
Oh, okay.
I saw it all. And so are you saying that Eric's line that the city replaced is now their private line? That's illegal.
I don't know, Courtney. Courtney, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that because this is all new, a surprise, on 6th Street. And Kelsey is correct, on 2nd Street, there is the Beerman, 3 houses that were brothers and sisters, and when they first put those houses in, they shared, they put their sewer line in and shared. And now there are 3 different people living in those houses. And so the middle person is, I'm not gonna pay for their problems. And so that's at a standstill right now also.
Also,
So,
they're in the same boat.
yeah. And that was scoped also. So, I don't know what.
Do you have records of who installed these lines?
Install, probably somewhere in the shop, in a box that says 1908 or something.
So my question is, we're having this meeting about this, and you didn't come prepared with any reports or any records or anything like that for it?
No, because it wasn't, asked for me to, dig that up on, what construction companies put those in. I don't understand why that
I
is.
think she means, did the city put them in, or did the homeowners?
Oh.
Do you guys have any information on that? Cause none of us do.
Yeah, what I'm thinking is that since it's not on a map, it was drawn on, that I gave to Kelsey, that part was drawn on, so that was private, so that was individual, whoever built those houses in the very first 1900s, whatever you said, 50s.
I'd like to add a point here. Back in, 97, I believe it was, we asked about a location for our septic tank. Okay. We talked to the mayor at that point in time, and he said he didn't know. We didn't have any records in the town. Okay. We went up to the county office, and we said, do you have any records of our septic tank, where it runs, or whatever? Okay. It was plain and obvious that where the drain field was. We could see that every summer. The problem that we wound up finding out for ourselves was, we traced the line out of the back of the house, and we discovered where the septic tank hole was, okay? But that was all our own research. And it was down, didn't think it would be there, but it was only like 15 feet from the house. My point in saying this is to find records of water, of sewer in this town are virtually impossible, okay? Because the records, if there ever were any, are lost in time.
I agree, yeah.
It's kind of a sad situation because you are not going to be the only ones. Okay. Our problem is, as a town, we have a budget that's in place, okay? Taking into the current expenses that we had, making allowances for some, but it's gonna be more than $10. Okay?
No, I get that.
Okay. So hopefully we can come up with a price that somewhere all of us could come up with the funds.
And I'm not asking for special treatment, I'm asking
No,
for
no,
going
I-
forward, I understand there's no records, that's water under the bridge, and none of us here can do anything about that, literally nothing. But going forward, we can make plans, we can have records, we can do things correct, legal, so this
Right.
doesn't happen to our future citizens, so in 50 to 100 years from now, our community people aren't going through this again. That's where I'm standing.
I agree with that, and also in regard to that, when a company does a title search and a home is sold, that, believe it or not, should be all part and parcel of it.
I agree, and it's not.
Because if
It's
it's
not on my
not,
title.
it's only because of the way that things are being done over here.
Right,
And,
yeah,
we
it's
had a
wrong.
similar situation with our, septic tank that we had to replace over on the west side. And we spent about $12,000 back in '90. And they said there'd never be a sewer coming. A year later, sewer came in, so.
Oh, wow. And you still live here?
Pardon?
I said, and you still live here? Well, the getting's good.
So,
Oh, that was in Seattle. You left that.
Different town.
Yeah,
Sorry, I missed the Seattle part.
okay, right, so I thought I'd mention that. To add a little bit of levity to it.
So it definitely sounds like everybody understands that this is a major thing that's gonna be happening to not just us, but probably everybody on our block. And others.
It's obviously
Street,
turning
so I
into a
would-
town thing day by day, it seems like,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Probably say that getting with the grants and figuring that out sooner than later would be.
Yeah.
I know that you've applied for emergency funding for up there off of Vulcan and all that, for, I forget what the project was, but you got emergency funding, how long does that take? Usually.
Oh, it was longer than what anybody wanted.
Okay.
Can you remember?
I think it was 2 or 3 months.
Yeah. It was through the cold snap of winter, and so that was the
But, I
emergency.
mean, apart from saying we have this emergency,
Mhm.
can you help us out with a grant or a grant loan combination
We
for the
can,
town?
well, like I said before, Mr. Nelson and I and Joe have been with the situation, Tamara's situation as well. So it's
Did they have
been
any
made aware
recommendation?
of really good, so.
Did they make a recommendation for a grant or something for emergency?
Steve is still looking
Oh.
through that.
Okay.
So, and as we all know, that it, magic wand just doesn't come through, and unfortunately, that's not making you happy, so,
Not in the least.
yeah. So,
So do we know?
what we can do is I can get on, the phone with Mr. Nelson and, express to him the extra urgency, because it's, totally kind of ridiculous that, your neighbors are not having the same issues as you, that you are in the low spot, and that's just unfortunate through the planning of whoever
Right, yeah.
built
Water
that.
under the bridge.
Okay, I have a question. When Curtis was scoping, your line was, and you said it was low spots, did it get recorded where those low spots were? Can I ask him where exactly he thinks that those low spots are?
So his camera couldn't make it that far?
But he found low spots in what he could.
Well, no.
No.
So the Orangeburg in the street is tore up.
Okay.
So
Okay.
sewer's going in the street
So,
already.
yeah, so where they all meet, right, is that Orangeburg's all tore up. So, but farther past that, once you hit the property between Jeannie's,
Okay.
yeah, and Oscar's, it turns to steel pipe, or some other pipe, it's not Orangeburg.
Thank you. See, they didn't know that.
So
Okay.
That's not.
Has
So-
the Department of Health been notified if there's sewer running into the street?
No, but we'll do that.
Yeah.
That's our call tomorrow.
So,
We just found this out.
so he was able to get pretty much under all those shrubs there in between the two houses.
Okay.
So he was pretty sure there was no roots, right? But he couldn't get all the way to the alley. He didn't have enough
And
camera.
he ran out of cord.
So that's where, past that, that's where he's assuming that there's a belly in there, or like the tie-in, something's going on with the tie-in, because there's high water marks on the pipe in there, so it's been an issue for a little bit.
Okay.
And there's standing water in the pipe now, right?
Yeah, there's standing water in the pipe now. But that's where, this whole like manhole right there in the street, then if there was, like you said, the city were to take responsibility for that line and put that manhole in there, you could get a camera all the way down, or, you know, we could, figure out what's actually going on there. So as far as their camera goes, they can't reach all the way to the alley.
70 feet, you said? Or is that him? I can't.
He went
I got-
150.
Oh, no, he didn't say that. He told me 70 something.
No, he had to go way farther than that. He was about 70 feet from the main line of the alley.
That's what it was,
Yeah.
okay,
So he couldn't quite reach that far with his camera.
okay, all right.
So that's why I was saying he's assuming that there's either a belly in that pipe or the tie-in or something. Like I said, he couldn't get that far.
Didn't Steve just say earlier in the meeting that our CAC has that
That's
capability?
what I was, no, Evergreen.
Evergreen.
Evergreen, there you go.
Yeah.
So, we can do things like that, step forward with the, checking out further with what Curtis gave us, and this came from him.
Yeah, yeah, he emailed that to me today.
Okay. All right, I know that it's not a fix tonight,
Right.
but, appreciate your maps and everything, so, because visual helps,
Oh,
correct?
yeah.
Yeah, and if there's any other questions you guys have right now, feel free
We
to ask.
just need to, I guess, take whatever, you know, get the numbers or whatever it takes to get the ball rolling.
Well, especially if there's sewer running
Yeah.
in the street, I mean.
Yeah, or else there's
that's
gonna
not
be some
okay.
kind of manhole there at some point, or sewer keeps running in the street.
Yeah, that needs
Big
to
old
be
sinkholes.
researched.
Yeah.
That needs to be researched, so thank you so much.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next on the list is Denise Sneed.
Oh, I had to talk about the code. First of all, it is our laws, it's not just a compilation. You paid $6,000 to have attorneys review it because it's a law. You don't have the old things that have been rescinded in there. So you guys need to talk to the current attorney, the town attorney, and understand what your code is. Secondly, Paula, you can't make ordinances and not put them in the code. That is necessary. That's the public records access to the laws of land. So, what Mandy is saying, I don't know where she got her information, but it certainly wasn't from legals. Can you imagine the sheriff's department not updating their laws for a year? Making a new law and not putting it on the books for a year? That's ridiculous. And you did not put in any of the most recent ordinances. I checked again. You told me last meeting you would send them to code
And they
publishing.
have been sent.
How long will it take for them to get in the
That's
code?
up to them. That timeline is not under my control.
I will call them tomorrow and find out how many you sent. I will. And secondly, the COVID funds that you got, $120,000.
No,
And how much did you get?
78,000
And you put it in the water fund?
at that time, yes.
And what else did you do with it? Who did you share it with? That was meant for our town residents and our town businesses. Who did you share it with?
Share. What do you mean share?
It was
It's in
for-
the water fund for the wells, for the drinking water.
That is not what it was for. It was for the residents. They should have been able to put in an application to use it for their utility bills.
Or the infrastructure for the water.
I don't believe that's correct. But you did not share it with any residents or any business, correct?
Correct, it wasn't a handout. It's gone into the water fund for.
That's fine. We'll talk to the state auditor about that. That's all I have to say.
All right, next, we've got Anna Dobbins. Are you still here?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, did you want to talk or not?
I'd like to talk about the city workers. I have a water meter. I've already talked to Paula about it. We watched somebody get out of their vehicle, one person in the driver's seat, one person in the passenger, run down to our meter, open it, yell out numbers, run back up to the truck and jump back in, okay? This is how they got our meter reading
for the end of the winter. When I started questioning this, I was told that Myra and Cagney were eyeballs on the meters, which raised the question, why is a council member doing a city job? The other thing I have is that I've got the pictures on my phone to show you guys. The peanuts were still on top of my meter. So how did this person read my meter? We had to pull the peanuts and clean the meter to even get a reading off of it, which it did not match what I got from the city on my bill. So tell me how this person is reading a meter. When I raised that question, I was told I needed to wait till May 1st when the new bill came out and the new meter reading came out to see where my meter stood. So could somebody please explain to me why somebody couldn't come out, take a look at what was going on, document it, read the meter right then and there for proof, and handle the situation? Why do I have to document it? Why do I have to take pictures? Why do I have to do the city's job?
Well, you don't.
Actually, that's what I'm doing. And you just got done telling them 2 eyeballs see the meter each time. Okay, well, if that's true, number 1, why did only 1 person go down and read the meter? Number 2, why were there peanuts on top of my meter?
That's for the winter insulation.
Okay,
And
so the
then
meter
it gets
was red.
pulled out, and then it gets cleaned, and it gets red, and then the peanuts get put back in the meter.
Okay,
Or the
so,
box, I should say.
and we had to clean the meter to get a reading. Tell me how you can see my meter down underneath there and call out numbers without pulling anything out.
Nice picture.
No, yeah, see?
No, I see what you're talking
Yeah.
about. Yeah.
But how
I don't have
can you get
that
a
good
meter reading?
eyeballs, I don't know who does.
And we did take a meter reading, and it was something that was completely different than what we were charged. Plus, we had our first overage ever for our end of winter reading, which was an issue that raised it to begin with. I have no leaks, my meter's not running, I have brand new lines all through my house from the time we moved in.
Do you mind if I ask, where do you live at?
3 North Nielsen, corner of Nielsen and Main.
Okay.
And when the meter read was red, it was read this last Monday, yesterday.
I'm talking about the previous
The
meter
previous,
reading.
that part I don't know, I'm assuming that it was still in the last week of the month.
Okay, but when I talked to you on the phone, it was a bill that I had already paid.
Correct.
There was an overage, and for no reason,
No,
and I
don't
told
know.
you then, and you told me, oh, well, let's see what the meter reading does in the next week.
Which we did. I
Okay.
went out with Cagney Monday, yesterday, to do that.
Okay,
And
So-
we had to, like you said, the sack of peanuts were out, cleaned it off, read the meter. I looked as well as Cagney looked, and we got the same numbers, and then we put the peanuts back in the box. And so that's just a normal thing of
Okay.
the insulation.
but it was not clean. When I took the peanuts out and read my meter, I had to clean my meter to read it.
Every time you do that, I don't know what the deal is.
Okay, so how did she look down in there and yell out numbers with pulling nothing out, not cleaning the meter? And I will be going and looking on my cameras to see if you were there to read my meter. Because my cameras record
Your
everything.
dogs were barking, you came out and shut them up. And
I did not, I wasn't even home, I was out of town. I didn't get home till today, this afternoon.
I assumed that it was you, I'm sorry.
Well, you seem to do a lot of assuming.
Okay.
I've heard you multiple times say you assume something. One of them was that something was dyed because you saw a bottle of dye on a table. I mean, that's a big assumption.
Okay.
I'm sorry, yes, I am a little bit upset because I felt somebody should have come out. I asked for somebody to come out and take care of this problem right then and there, document it, help me figure this out. And I basically felt like it was left in my hands to document my own stuff and compare it to the city and go from there. That's how I felt I was left with the whole thing.
oh, well, we'll talk to you after May. Doesn't matter that you were charged overages, doesn't matter you already paid your bill, doesn't matter you have an issue.
So what's gonna happen to the
That is wrong.
overages that she paid? if
Well, according
that
to
was
them, I was
incorrect?
told it was a mistake. Well, they called my boyfriend, who never has anything to do with the account, told him that it was an overage mistake and it would be credited. Then when they heard I was on the phone, that's when it was said, oh, well, there'll still be a small overage. But why? Explain to me why.
And we will get your history, and then you and I, with Barbara, can sit down and look at that, right? Isn't that what I said?
Actually, you said you needed to look at it,
Yeah.
but it's only, what, a 3-4 year history?
Oh, no.
Yes, I moved in 2018.
Okay, whenever you moved in, we can.
And the
look at
house
that
was
then,
empty for
right?
5 years before that,
Okay.
easily.
Okay.
You have no problem charging me $40 a month to be attached to the septic and the water for not using the service
But,
when the house was empty,
okay.
but
that
that's
is-
not a usage.
That is a winter charge of being 20 to water, hooked to the water line, and then $20 hooked to the sewer line.
Well, I understand that. And I
So
said, like I
that's-
said, you had no problem charging me that
Well,
when I wasn't attached or when I didn't have it active.
correct.
But nobody can come out and tell me what's going on with a meter that hadn't been read. I called you right after I went out and looked at that. I told you then, the meter was dirty, the peanuts were there. She was not seen pulling them out. So how did they get pulled out? How did my meter get read?
I wasn't there at that time. I was there yesterday. So that's what we gotta go with, in my mind.
Well, I understand that, but it still doesn't answer the question why I've got one reading, you've got another. Something else completely was seen by the people.
Well, we can discuss this. Right?
Yes, we
when-
can discuss
when
this,
I-
but I think it needs to be known that
Okay.
you've got some city workers that aren't doing their jobs.
No, don't say that.
No, I am going to say that.
Okay, you can say that, but that is not gonna be taken. Okay,
By you maybe,
okay. Okay,
especially when I watched them do it.
all right.
How do you call out numbers on a meter that is covered by peanuts? You can't see it.
Eggs were lifted out of those meters that had peanuts in it.
But my question is, were both people supposed to get out of the car and go look, right?
Yes, that's what I was told, both people, but only one day. But then again, you know, you can see through peanuts and both people can see from the road, so we're good.
All right, next, person that wanted to speak is Lisa Gonzalez.
She went home.
Oh,
They're doing their job.